perimenopause, like I said, can happen. It can start in one's late 30s, early 40s, and that's the average age, right? So some women do go through it earlier too. And it can really affect every part of our lives. So I think we have to talk about it.
I'm Amy.
I'm April.
Certified sex educators, sexperts of the year, and best-selling authors.
And we're on a mission to help you have more spicy, connected, and amazing shameless sex.
Welcome to the Shameless Sex Revolution.
We're so close, it's like we have our own language. We're making sex and relationships shameless.
To learn more, go to shamelesssex.com.
And for 15% off some of our favorite sex toys, use code SHAMELESSSEX at purepleasureshop.com.
You were listening to a pleasure podcast. For more from our sex podcast collective, visit pleasurepodcasts.com.
Well, hello, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
Happy December.
It's my sister's birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday, sister.
Yeah.
Hey, sister who does not listen to our podcast. Happy birthday.
She might. She's read our book.
Oh, really?
A couple times.
Oh, well, happy birthday.
I did a book club thing for her and her friends.
Aww.
They giggled and then shared. I had a 75-year-old woman share some interesting stories with me.
Chicago business, right?
Yeah. Well, Chicago suburbs.
Ish, burbs.
Burbs.
Well, we
but
love
happy birthday,
you.
sister.
Happy birthday. Oh, and this episode's about perimenopause. Is she in perimenopause or is she not perimenopause, sister?
You know, she's 53.
She's
today.
menopause then.
She'd be in menopause.
That's a different era, yeah. All right, well, happy menopause, sister. And this episode is not for you, except it is because so this book is called Millennial Menopause by Lauren Tetenbaum. I said it right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tetenbaum.
I did it.
Nice work.
And we have not done an episode on perimenopause, just about perimenopause. And yes, menopause will still be a part of this. And we were just like, how have we never done? We have like 460 plus episodes. We've never done one just on perimenopause.
You don't have to be a woman to listen to this episode.
I know.
So don't tune out right now or shut off if you are a dude or a person.
Do you love women? Because
there's also women that
have
had a hysterectomy that aren't going to have the same experiences of menopause or perimenopause.
Yeah.
But I still recommend listening to this because there's lots of good information for you.
If you're 20 and you're lucky, you will get there. If you're 60, then there's still information for you. If you're in a partnership with someone or you love pussy owners, then please listen because there's some tips on how you can navigate this time that April and I are both in. It's quite a roller coaster.
Or if you have a mother.
Yeah.
Or a friend that has...
Just don't not listen.
Just listen. Just listen.
You little shit asses. Okay.
Speaking of listening, what about magic wand stories that have been rolling into our
so good
email?
So we released 3 of the stories. So we have this anonymous call line, and we won't say the number here right now, but just go to the show notes if you want to be a part of this. It's an 888 phone number.
I wish we would have done 555.
It would be super.
So, you know how many times you said call 555?
I don't think it's a real thing though.
I don't think it is
either.
either.
It's fake. 555
555 shameless.
So it's 888 something, and then it's Pure Pleasure Shop, the sex shop that I own with my mom in line. It's her phone line. Then you press 4, and you can share an anonymous story. And so last week we shared 3 different stories from anonymous people. This story, we're going to play another one for you. This person is not anonymous. We actually know this person.
We know her very well.
Yes. So we have permission.
Love her.
She says her name in the beginning. So let's just dive into that story.
Hey, ladies. Brianne here. Just wanting to share my magic wand story, or one of them. I would say that I really started to build my relationship with the magic wand after my level 4 sexological bodywork training. I was in that training, I was on the massage table and I had 3 sets of hands just touching my body in every which way that I desired and asked for. And I remember one of the sets of hands said, "Have you ever experienced the magic wand?" And I said, "I have, but I have not experienced it. Given to me by somebody else." And so that session, needless to say, was ecstatic and orgasmic. And since that experience, I have actually found the incredible power of the magic wand. And I now incorporate it into my sexological bodywork practice. And I even had a client a couple of years ago, she was coming to me for support around just feeling numb and like having very little access to experiencing pleasure, not just in her genitals, but throughout her entire body. And I had suggested we start to work with the magic wand, and it was in the middle of the session, after we're playing with all various different parts of her body and her curves. And in the middle of it, she just screams out like, "That wand is really magic." So it's definitely a powerful tool that I've been bringing into my sessions and also into my private pleasure practice. And yeah, what can I say? It's a magic wand.
Motherfucking Brianne, I love that woman so much.
Brianne, we know you're listening. Love you.
So she went to a training to learn how to do sexological body work.
She was a nurse for many years.
She was a nurse before. Went to this training, had a magic wand used on her, used a magic wand in this training, and now uses magic wands with her clients. And I know her so well, and I've worked with her before. Like, I've been her client before. She's absolutely amazing. If you'd like to work with the wonderful, the amazing Brianne, go to embodiedliberation.love. I will put the link in the show notes. She will be on our podcast someday soon.
We try to get her on our podcast.
She's
everyone,
going to do it.
And she's
amazing.
Amazing, and she's also a bit shy.
Yeah.
And Brianne, this is a call to action.
Yeah.
You got this.
You got this. And she's one of my favorite healers.
She just doesn't know about. Remember, she was around when we first recorded our very first episode. It's not her medium right now, but it will be.
Oh, it will be. Oh, we'll get her on here.
You will be mine.
I mean, look at that. She just called in
an
an anonymous story, except that she's like, I'm not anonymous. So
embodiedliberation.love.
Yeah, work with Brianne. She's amazing. And she can work with people even if you're not in California. She lives here in Santa Cruz, but she can work with you and she will change your life. All right, ready for a sex question?
I think so. I have not read it, so I'm going to go in, just raw dog it.
Let's raw dog this. Okay, so my husband and I are madly in love with each other, and everything is great other than this one repetitive argument about my G-spot. He thinks the G-spot is some magical place he's discovered, and I'm adding some emphasis to that. I don't know if that's how this person actually feels, and I think it's just the back end of my clit. Are either of us right or wrong? We are betting on the answer, so your response is much appreciated.
At least he's not like Joe Rogan and thinks there's no G-spot or that
squirting's not
female
real.
ejaculation doesn't exist.
All right,
so
Joe.
that we're already one up on that.
Yeah, all of us are one up on that. So all of these things are real. So I believe the modern day science is suggesting that the G-spot, which we also over here at Shameless Sex headquarters call the G area, because it's not one spot for everyone. It's different for everyone.
That's going to be our band name when we go on tour. G area.
G area.
Yeah.
That's let's see, what's the G area?
The G area?
Georgia.
No, it's inside of our vagina.
Oh, okay.
G area.
I was thinking like we're doing a show. Anyways, okay.
No, it's our band.
Okay, our band.
And the Strange Jizz is our cover. That's the last song on our first album.
It's the best song. Strange Jizz. Okay, anyways, tangent. So science is suggesting the G area is part of the clitoral structure. So actually, I think she's saying that. So you, female pussy owner with the G area, I believe you're correct. I believe that the science is showing that is the tail or the end or part of the clitoral structure, that it continues on. So like you see the little clit or big clit, or everyone's different, and it continues on. There's a whole wishbone around the vaginal opening.
Inside, and it's inside the vaginal canal. The majority, right? It's like over 80% of your clit
is inside.
And
then it continues on back. And so the science is suggesting that the G area that can be a really wonderful place to experience pleasure is just more clit. So you win. I don't know what you win. What do you win? What do they win?
You could win squirting.
Yeah.
You could win intense orgasms. You could
win
connection. You could win
teargasms.
Right. You could win an overall kind of witchy orgasm where your whole body starts gyrating.
Just like make sure your kids are asleep and they have headphones on and watch out.
One thing that I've learned over the years of doing our podcast and of owning sex toys is that sex toys can really help you tap into your G area. That's the only way that I've been able to tap in. And now I can guide my partner if there's only fingers involved. So thank you for sex toys. And we just got these new sex toys sent to us, which I want to give a shout out to because holy shit.
Perfectly designed for the G
from
area.
Japan. They're from Japan. It's called Iroha. So it's like IROHA, like Iroha. And I'm like, oh, yeah. One of them, it's called, so there's two that, I know you tried.
So I've tried the Mai. So MAI, and it's, I like it because it's not too big and bulky. I can use it for some G-spot stimulation. Even though I'm not usually into actual toys inside of me, I will use that and then I'll either have the vibrator on or not. And the vibrator is actually quite powerful. It's pretty quiet. It's rechargeable. And then I will do other action like on my clit and stuff. So I've only tried the Iroha Mai, and I know we have homework for is it Suki plus?
So it's hard. So it's Japanese name. Yeah. So it's Suki plus Aonami, but we can just send them to so we've known about Iroha for years.
Long time.
But they keep coming out with new innovative toys, and they all have this beautiful, like some of them are squishy.
Yeah.
This one, the one that I'm holding, this Suki Plus
the silicone is like so sleek and smooth.
Its head moves.
Yeah.
So if you
I haven't tried that yet.
It's hard for me to access G-Spot Play, but I love technology because I've used a lot of G-Spot toys, and this one is great if I'm, I don't know, having anal stimulation, perhaps. And this one can go in and give me some G-Spot. And so I'm stoked that we've been given the gift of the Christmas miracle,
yeah,
or the
it
holiday
is.
miracle,
the Hanukkah miracle yeah.
of the Iroha. And I think we've talked about it. We haven't talked about this yet on the show because we got these 2 weeks ago now when we're recording this episode. But I'm loving these.
Yeah, they're
not safe for your butt though.
No, not butt toy, but yeah. I'm excited for my homework to try this other. That's I can't say it. Suki plus Aonami.
Yeah,
and I already know I love the Iroha for my G spot. That's cute.
Yeah, MAI.
Yeah,
and it's usstore.iroha.com. And then if you use code Shameless, if you want to save money, if you don't want to save money, then don't use it. Then you use code Shameless and you get 10% off your order. And that's on anything though you order. What we've talked about, there's other toys you can dive into on the site. The site's beautiful and it's Japanese made. Well, Japanese products.
They know their sex toys.
I use all my facial
Tenga, their Tenga stuff too.
All the face creams I use are all from Japan.
Yeah.
And we're not sponsored by them, but Tancha, shout out because they have the best products.
Soon to be sponsored by.
I wish. I hope. But I haven't gotten any injectables in my facial.
Nice.
It's all the Tatcha.
You look good, man. And you're perimenopause, fool.
Yeah. Speaking of perimenopause.
Yeah, speaking of perimenopause. Last shout out. These people, I feel like this is a playful email. Like they argue about this, but like it doesn't seem like they're actually really. I assume it's not like I'm mad at you about the G-spot G area. But if you find yourself in a situation with partners or friends or family, and you're like, I want to be connected, but I feel disconnected, and this is really hard. And I want to be close, and I want to be intimate, or whatever that is. You want connection.
More connection.
There's a lovely program coming up that I am co-creating with my dear friend Ian Stratton. It's called Intimacy Rewired. You go to intimacyrewired.com. If you use coupon code Shameless Sex, you get, if you mention Shameless Sex, because it's an application process, you get 100 off. I will put all the links in the show notes, but this is designed for people to learn how to communicate and discover their connections and their bodies and in ways that make everything super fucking easy.
And that's launching in January,
yes,
of course. But you can get it and buy it and then have access to it, even if you can't attend.
It's all online.
It's Into Me, I See. Into Me, I See. I can't ever stop. Okay. Thanks for doing that. I'm stoked when that class comes out. $100 off. Between the 10% off and then the $100 off, everybody's saving money.
So many bucks.
Go buy some more eggnog with all that saved cash. Okay.
Shit.
Let's do the bio. Lauren Tetenbaum, aka the CounseLaur, is a millennial mother of two, a writer, a social worker specializing in supporting women through life transitions, a former lawyer passionate about advocating for women. Millennial Menopause is her very first book. To learn more, go to thecounsellaur.com or just follow her on Instagram at thecounsellaur.
All right, everyone, it is interview time, and we are here with Lauren. Let me see if I can get this right. Tetenbaum. No?
Very good. Yeah,
Baum. No, it's Baum. So it's Tetenbaum. Lauren Tetenbaum. We were trying to learn right before this. Lauren is an amazing author who wrote The Millennial Menopause. And so if all of you have been paying attention to the current news, menopause. You know what I mean? Menopause is a hot topic right now, even in the political world. And this episode will be specifically about perimenopause. And we realized, one, we've had a lot of requests to do this episode. April and I are in perimenopause stage, and we have a lot of friends that are. And we realized we've never done one full episode just on this topic. So we're super excited to do this with you, Lauren. And even though our listeners already heard a little bit about you in the intro and the bio, can you please tell us and our listeners a little bit more about how you got into the field of sexuality?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I am currently a licensed clinical social worker in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Florida. But I have always been passionate about women's reproductive health, including their sexuality and sexual health. I taught sex ed, I volunteered at Planned Parenthood, and I just think that women's sexual health and reproductive rights are integral to their bodily autonomy and rights in general.
Word. That's absolutely true. And so how did you just like navigate that as your core goal of trying to help people with, because you have how many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like credentials after your name, licenses. So can you talk about, that a little bit more?
Sure. My entire life, really, since childhood, I was passionate about helping women, supporting women. And I think you have to include supporting women's access to reproductive rights as part of supporting women. So even in high school, I was always volunteering and interning, and I minored in women's studies and in college. And then I went straight to law school. That's the JD, to be an advocate for women's rights. And then I hated law school. So I also got my master's in social work. I spent a decade in the legal industry, but really always practiced with that compassionate lens of the mental health perspective. And over COVID, I decided to be in private practice as a psychotherapist to support women's mental health during life transitions, which of course involves sexual and reproductive health changes.
Yes, it does. The craziness of hormones where you're like, meet me, and then you're balanced and you're like, oh, I'm great. So we're talking about perimenopause, which Amy mentioned. We've touched on it in so many episodes, especially since Amy and I are both in that phase of our lives. And I've always wondered this question. So there's two pieces. Number one, why do they call it perimenopause? Because I don't understand and what that means. I thought maybe it was named after Amy's dog, Perry, but wrong. And can you share the difference between perimenopause and menopause for folks?
Yes. And I don't know if people can see, but all three of us have our dogs and they're really cute. But anyway, shout out. I also did not know anything. So despite all of that education, all of that passion for women's health, I was approaching 39 and I thought, what the F is menopause? Why don't I know anything about this? I went to a networking event. It was about menopause. I was the youngest woman in the room. Everybody was saying, I wish I had been warned. I wish I had been told that perimenopause symptoms can start in one's late 30s, early 40s. And I set out to learn and then I wrote it all down. So perimenopause, peri means around. It's just the word for around. So perinatal is around the time of pregnancy through the year following a baby's birth. Perimenopause is around the time of menopause, which is technically 1 year following the last menstrual period. Mm-hmm. And perimenopause is defined as the time when hormones, primarily estrogen and progesterone, are fluctuating like a roller coaster and ultimately decline. And then your ovaries stop producing eggs and estrogen.
That's the roller coaster right there. I mean, all of it is, but that's been like the beginning of the roller coaster. And I'm really, really stoked that we have more information about this. Like we're talking about this. And again, we were talking about it like, well, at least menopause being something that in politics they're like, oh yeah, this is important to address for women's health, especially HRT and things like that, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a second as well. But why do you think perimenopause is such a hot topic right now versus the past? Like, why are we now finally like, oh, hey, let's all talk about this?
I think it's in large part due to millennials, I will say. And of course, our Gen X sisters who have been demanding better care and saying, I don't want to be like the women ahead of me who were denied hormone therapy because of misconceptions. I want access to care. And because of their work, my generation, I'm now 40, we're used to saying, hey, let's talk about this tough topic like fertility struggles or mental health or motherhood in general. And we're approaching or in perimenopause and we're saying we need to talk about this. We need better access to care and we need more representation in media, in policy, et cetera.
Finally, yeah, it's about time.
I mean, yeah, this is a tale as old as time. Look, hundreds of years ago, women didn't live as long as we're living now. And now we're living, at least half our lives post-menopause. But perimenopause, like I said, can happen. It can start in one's late 30s, early 40s. And that's the average age, right? So some women do go through it earlier too. And it can really affect every part of our lives. So I think we have to talk about it.
It really can.
Okay, lovers, quick mid-roll PSA. When was the last time your self-pleasure routine made you gasp, giggle, or maybe get a little superstitious about good fortune? Enter Iroha. Yes, that's Iroha, our latest obsession from Japan that's totally redefining pleasure toys.
Okay, picture this. You, cozy in your favorite fuzzy socks, unwrapping Iroha's gorgeous and discreet toys. Like the Iroha SVR Smart Vibe Ring, for instance. It's the perfect solo and couples toy. It really heats things up. The ring, for penis owners, hello, boosting stronger erections for you. Trust me, it's the holiday miracle, especially after you've had too much eggnog.
Eggnog, watch out. And for solo magic, the Iroha Suki Plus Aonami is my new favorite G-spot vibe. That come hither motion, game changer. Plus, the Iroha Lucky Bag is available for pre-order, y'all. Get yourself a bundle of good fortune and pleasure.
Visit usstore.iroha.com to get lucky with Iroha, because Shameless listeners, that's you, get 10% off your order when you enter code Shameless at usstore.iroha.com. That's Iroha. IROHA, and use code Shameless at checkout to get 10% off these adorable toys. Put some good vibes into your life right now. Go to usstore.iroha.com and use code Shameless because you deserve it. All right, the link is in the episode's description. You can remember that.
I gave myself a membership on the Masterclass platform last year as a New Year, New Orgasms present, and I use this, and you should too.
Well, I swapped my scrolling for 10-minute lessons, and sex life, money, and boundaries, all of them leveled right up.
Yep. And also, Shan Boudrom's The Art of Sex Appeal class that really landed for me had me practicing playful eye contact on strangers. Then Esther Perel's sessions helped me ask for what I want in bed without the shame spiral.
Remember when we had Shan on our podcast?
She's
it was amazing. Esther, we're wanting you too.
Woo!
All right. Well, James Clear on habits helped me build a pre-pleasure ritual. Lights, music, 3 breaths. So my body knows, oh, we're doing some pleasure and it's on purpose.
With Masterclass, you can learn from the best to become your best. Plans start at $10 a month, billed annually, with unlimited access to over 200 classes across 13 categories.
There's audio mode for commutes, downloads for flights, and you can watch on your phone, laptop, or TV. Plus, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Masterclass always has great offers during the holidays, sometimes up to as much as 50% off. Head over to masterclass.com/shameless for the current offer. Again, you can get up to 50% off at masterclass.com/shameless. Again, masterclass.com/shameless. Happy holidays.
I think that over the course of my life, there was a lot of talk about menopause. And I think that a lot of people related it to being in your 60s or in your 50s. Yeah. And there's still so much shame. I've talked to some of my girlfriends, right, and best friends, and talked about how I'm in perimenopause. They're like, no way. Why would you say that? And there's shame. And they'll talk to me about some of their ongoing struggles with maybe their sex drive or their attitude towards life, or they're crying a lot, or they're in this depression phase. And I tell them, perhaps you're in perimenopause, and they're like, no, I went to the doctor and they said I'm fine. I'm like, it's not, nothing's wrong with you. It's okay. So I'm hoping that you can shine some light on what are the most common symptoms of perimenopause? How can people tell if they're actually in it? And you kind of touched on it. Can it last for 20 years? Can it last for your entire life until you're 100? I mean, so those pieces, so people can know right now, without a doubt, they're having symptoms of perimenopause, or maybe they're not.
Sure. So typically the symptoms of perimenopause, they say, range between 4 and 10 years. And the average age of menopause is 51. And usually some symptoms of menopause, like the mood swings, like hot flashes, like brain fog, they do get better after that last period and in the couple years after. So that's really good news. But let's go back to perimenopause, that phase of time leading up to the final period. That can be a decade, or even if it's 1 year of terrible mood swings, let's do something about it, right? So some of the symptoms that we know are associated with menopause tend to be the hot flashes, things like that. But that's really all I knew personally. And then I started doing all this research and I found out that usually the earliest symptoms, in addition to period irregularities, which might come later, some women don't get a period, so I don't usually go off of that. The earliest symptoms tend to be those mood shifts. Shifts in sleep, waking up with anxiety and your heart racing, not feeling like yourself is something that we hear often. The rage and the irritability. As a therapist, I like to treat the symptoms, not necessarily the diagnosis. So I agree, there is still this stigma around menopause and aging. And if that's what your friends are struggling with, I mean, I want to help them get over that because I think that we shouldn't be afraid of aging. But I would just zoom in on what are you feeling, what's bothering you, and how can we get the help that you need?
Yeah, isn't there a big shift from relying on blood panels or the need for blood panels, and that being, how you would decide if someone's in perimenopause or menopause, to now it's just addressing the symptoms? Isn't that like a popular trend right now?
Yes. So the Menopause Society is the preeminent organization for professional providers who work in midlife women's health. And their guidelines are that there is no one blood test or diagnostic tool because, go back to that roller coaster, what your blood work shows on a Wednesday morning might not be what it shows Thursday afternoon. So it's not really indicative. What's important is, how do you feel? And then, of course, you also have to rule out any other medical issues. But the real way to figure this out is to know yourself and to prioritize what you want to fix if something's bothering you.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, the first thing I noticed was just this like naturally lower libido and as a, sex educator and sex and relationship coach and all these things, like I know the tools and I know that I'm, a woman. So my sex drive is more responsive as opposed to spontaneous. I don't necessarily, now I'll tell you why now I can walk down the street and can get turned on. But anyways, that was the thing. And it was really frustrating for me because I wanted to feel more of that, just aliveness, right? It's for a lot of people, it can be frustrating because they want to please their partners or their partner's disappointed. But for me, it was just like, I want this for myself. Yeah. And so then in April, and I at the same time started getting testosterone pellets a couple of years ago. And that was a total game changer for me with my libido. I also like what it does for my cognition. And then my other latest symptom that I'm just noticing, it's been here for a while, is being a hotter sleeper. So where, I used to always have to have like a toe out when I'm sleeping. Now I need like a full leg at times. And like, it's just always fluctuating. I just went for a walk with some lady friends and one of them was just put on a birth control pill actually for her perimenopause symptoms. And her main problem was waking up at 2 a.m. randomly, like every day over and over again. Yeah. April, yours was some like gnarly PMS stuff, right? Like more emotional.
All the things, Amy. It was all the things. I swear to you, doing HRT, the hormone replacement, and my partner says it too, has saved my relationship. And
I hear that a lot.
I advocate for it all the time for people to at least go and get it checked out and not just slap a estrogen patch on it and call it a day because it takes some work. But it was hot flashes, super bitchy for 3 weeks out of the month. I only had like 1 week of peace. And then Amy used to call me the snapdragon. She's like, are you going to bleed soon? I was like, I don't know. I feel like that's... And
no, I would be like, you need to bleed soon. Go use a vibrator or something.
Yeah. And gnarly periods too. But if all those things are happening, that it does impact your libido because you're not feeling super sexy when you're angry. At everyone.
Right. Or exhausted, right? Everything exacerbates the other. If you're waking up and not able to go back to sleep, you're not feeling good. And if you're not feeling good, you're not feeling in the mood for sex. So it's tough, but it is able to be treated.
It's all connected 100%. And it's nice. And actually, we'll get into more of like the things that people can do. And we already talked about this. Why is it so confusing for people? Well, one, we haven't had access to this information. We're like, wow, all of a sudden this has been going on forever. And now we're finally learning about it. Even though, like you said, that now people are living longer. So I guess that's not necessarily like people, and not everyone gets to go into this phase, right? Like, the privilege of it going into this phase.
Privilege of aging,
Yeah. So, but with that, so if you have more to say about why that's so confusing for people going through it, and also for their partners. Like April, you just said for your partner, right? Is so grateful for you now being on HRT. But yeah, like why is it just so confusing for everyone experiencing it, including their partners?
I think that we tend to put a lot of shame around sex and sexuality, which, I know you feel strongly about destigmatizing, as do I. And sex and periods and body parts we're still sort of prudish about it, right? And there's a lot of inherent misogyny in our culture, in the media, in the medical system. And so if it is a woman's issue, we haven't been valuing it. We haven't been treating it or caring about it in the way that we should be. And it is complex. I'm not saying it's simple because it's not. Whether it's hormone therapy or other lifestyle modifications, it's not a one and done treatment course. And people get weird about it. And so they don't want to touch it and they don't want to talk about it. But if we don't talk about it, we're not going to feel better. And I'm a firm believer in saying this is not a woman's issue. This is something every woman goes through if she's fortunate to reach a certain age. So everybody needs to know about it. I talk about this with my husband, my male friends, my brother, my son, who's 9, but it's just a part of women's health. And I have a chapter in the book dedicated to men specifically because I really believe that they have to be part of this conversation.
The more you know, the more it will help. And this is why we do this podcast, to help people figure things out, because you can't sit at the doctor for 6 hours and get all the information that you need. And thankfully you have this book, which is, I think, a great tool for your partner to read if you have a penis owning partner to understand. And I have my partner read articles about different shifts that happen with women because he has 3 daughters as well. And I'm like, this is all going to happen. So you better just pay attention.
I love it.
There's biological shifts that happen that can change your desire in terms of perimenopause and then menopause. And I think that's something that people really, they struggle with understanding because their bodies aren't doing what they used to, producing maybe the same fluidity, not even fluidity, but the fluid that was produced before. So I'm wondering if you could, and I'm speaking from what we've learned on the podcast, but I know you did a deep dive and you have science behind this and research. And so you can talk about the biological shifts, especially the ones that impact desire and pleasure during this time of life.
Absolutely. So during perimenopause, it's more of a mental and emotional shift in terms of sexuality, libido, desire. Women are exhausted. Our testosterone starts dropping by our mid-30s anyway. We are often navigating a very heavy mental load, whether we're moms or not, whether we're caring for aging parents or not, whether we're climbing a corporate ladder. There's just a lot of shit, that we're dealing with. And so, we're not at our sexiest. And then, of course, our bodies are changing, and that can also impact our libido. If we don't feel comfortable and confident in our own skin, our body image really does impact our libido too. And as the hormone fluctuations are happening, we're running up against those physical symptoms that don't make us feel physically good, like the disruptions to sleep, the mood changes, the midsection weight gain, maybe itchy skin, things like that. And as we approach that last menstrual period and after, because of the depletion of estrogen, our vaginal tissue and our vulva, they're changing. And that can really lead to very painful sex if not treated. It can lead to what they used to call vaginal atrophy, which is a terrible name, but it does kind of capture what happens, which is the canal can shorten. You can get chronic UTIs, which are actually not only very painful, but can lead to sepsis and death. You can feel like sandpaper scraping, one woman described it to me, knives cutting all the time. So if you're experiencing any kind of pain, please know that you don't have to be and that you can get help.
Yeah, and experiencing pain or, just both speaking to pain, right? Just highly advise, don't tough it out, everyone.
Yes.
We'll talk about other ways that you can figure out how to make this more enjoyable or better. But also every time I'll speak in the we terms, we do something sexually that doesn't feel good, whether it's emotionally doesn't feel good, it creates, trauma. It could be mini trauma, it could be big trauma, or if it physically doesn't feel good, right? You're not only, and also can create little tears, invisible tears tears, little fissures, but it's really important to just, listen to your body and advocate for it. And so with that, my next question is about how people can reclaim sexual connection during this time. And maybe this is when we can talk about, I don't know, some of the options that are out there, right? Like I just said, April and I are getting testosterone pellets. I know some doctors don't believe in the pellets. They're more about creams. And that's just speaking of testosterone. I spoke to my friend who is now on birth control. I forgot which one it is, but it makes it so she doesn't bleed, which she's into. Like I wouldn't want that. I like bleeding. I like seeing my cycles, but for her, she likes that. And she doesn't wake up at 2 a.m. in the middle of the night anymore. She feels just more stable. So so what are some tips for reclaiming sexual connection, and what are some of the options out there?
I love that recap that you just gave, because it does show that every woman, every person is different. We are fortunate to currently have quite a few options, and we need more, options. Women need choices, and they need to be able to make those choices for themselves about what feels good for them. And it might not be what feels good for their best friend, right? Everyone's different. So testosterone you mentioned, which the reason that many medical providers say they don't prefer them is just because they can be a little hard to regulate and they can't be taken out. So if you're not getting the right dosage, you might come to experience side effects like acne or hair growth. And you just have to be very careful about where you're getting them and of course, vocalize, what's going on with you. But any good provider should give you options, perhaps including pellets, or there's testosterone gels, like you mentioned, but not FDA approved for women yet. So they're technically off label. So that's another thing, which we'll get to when it comes to politics. When it comes to other forms of medication, the birth control pill is certainly an option, or other forms of hormone therapy, just because it can help a woman feel better. Again, if she's having those symptoms, she's not feeling good. And so when you're feeling better, you are probably your desire is increased, or you just feel good. Then there's also two medications called Addyi. These are the brand names, Addyi and Vyleesi. Do you know about these?
No, I don't. No.
I didn't either. And if we don't know about it, no one does, and We've got to know about it. So they are FDA approved for women pre-menopause, so before they have that final menstrual period. And they help with the neurotransmitters, and one is an injection, one is a pill, and they are not a slam dunk. Everyone's different, but they can be really effective for helping women feel more desire. So that's awesome. SSRIs can have an impact on sexuality. So what I mean by that, antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, that can impact libido. But on the flip side, it can make one less depressed, less anxious. So that might help with sexual connection. When we're talking about lifestyle communication, the mental and emotional aspects of it, it really comes down to getting comfortable with yourself. And I mean that emotionally, knowing what's going on with you. Physically, knowing what feels good for you, whether it's with a partner or solo. And then if you do have a partner, with being able to communicate what you like, what you don't like. And if you haven't been having desire lately, what kind of is going on. And that's just so important for all relationships, I think.
Yeah. Communication. We talk about it every single time.
Fact. Most pussy owners need some sort of clitoral stimulation to orgasm, and many are not having orgasms from penetrative sex.
Say what?
I know, right? This is one of the many reasons why we are obsessed with OMG Yes. Not only has it changed our lives in the orgasm department, but I've been recommending OMG Yes to my clients for years, and it's completely changed their sex lives as well. OMGS features scientific research of real vulva owners, aka women, showing techniques to pleasure the pussy. They turn the research into tasteful, educational short videos, animated modules, and infographics for easy visual learning.
They call it OMGS for a reason, because OMGS is for anyone who wants to learn about pussy pleasure or take it to the next level. Whether you're a beginner or someone who wants to take your orgasms from good to mind-blowing, then you need to check out OMG Yes. They have 3 seasons: external pleasure, internal pleasure, and sex toys. It's not a subscription service, y'all, so you don't need to download a single thing. And it's great for partners who want to pleasure that pussy too. And for listeners of our show, OMGS is offering 10% off when you go to omgyes.com/shameless. Again, that's omgyes.com/shameless to receive 10% off unlimited access towards enhancing your pleasure power forever. Newsflash, everybody. We are picky about our lubes.
Can we say uber picky?
Yes, we can. And let me tell you all why Uber Lube is our absolute favorite lube ever. Uber Lube is a luxurious silicone lubricant that I want all over my body. Yes, it's designed for sex because it enhances intimacy while allowing you to still feel the skin-on-skin contact, but it feels so good that I want it everywhere. Uber Lube is long-lasting, leaves your skin feeling velvety smooth, and it's there when you want it, but then it dissipates when you're done.
Yes! Aside from using Uber Lube for all of my sexy sessions, and I use it all the time, I also use it for massages, for my hair frizzies, to prevent chafing, and it brings out the color of your beautiful tattoos. Thousands of doctors and therapists in the US alone are recommending Uber Lube to their patients because it's body-friendly, less likely to change the pH, and has vitamin E so it feels moisturizing on the skin. Uber Lube has no flavor or scent, which means it's also great for oral sex. And it comes in a beautiful glass bottle with a pump top, which means easy access to Pleasure Town.
Want to see why we think Uber Lube is the best lube in the world? Then go to uberlube.com and use discount code SHAMELESS to get 10% off and free shipping. Again, that's uberlube.com right now with code SHAMELESS for 10% off and free shipping.
Okay, you said the P word, meaning politics.
Yeah.
What are some of the politics you mentioned, or you said we could get into a little bit surrounding this topic?
Oh, where do I begin? Okay. So the overarching message, I will say, is please vote for politicians who you believe care about women's health. And I think that is tremendously important for women our age, for future generations. And that covers a wide range, right? It starts at sex education in school and access to birth control, access to abortion, access to reproductive health care, whatever it is. Women need options and autonomy. When it comes to menopause, we're seeing kind of a funny thing in the current administration, which is not known for necessarily caring about women's health. But recently, they removed the black box warning on estrogen products. And that was a win in many ways because the black box warning was a legacy of the WHI study in 2002. That was a great randomized controlled trial studying women in midlife. But, and I won't bore everyone with the details right now, that's in the book, it was misinterpreted to basically be thought of as hormone therapy is dangerous, causes all these terrible things like breast cancer, dementia, et cetera, et cetera. That is a misinterpretation. But the black box warning essentially reiterated that. And many women would, in the 2 decades since 2002, they'd go to their doctor, they maybe describe some symptoms. And that's a big if, because doctors are not very knowledgeable, but if their doctor said, okay, let's try hormone therapy to alleviate some of these symptoms, women would see this black box warning and get very scared and say, you know what, I'm not going to touch it. Now, what happened literally, this is hot off the presses. It happened a couple of weeks ago. The FDA removed the black box warning on all estrogen products. The ask was to remove it on vaginal estrogen because vaginal estrogen is very localized and that can help with that vaginal atrophy and the sandpaper symptoms that we were talking about earlier. And it's a very, very safe medication, even if you have breast cancer, et cetera. The FDA kind of went farther than a lot of medical providers would have liked, and they took it off all the products. So let's see what happens. Again, I'm all about access to care, but this goes back to the providers needing to know what is safe for each individual patient. And for that, we need training. And that goes back to politics too, because we need bills passed that require certain training and continuing education of our medical providers.
Isn't that interesting? So the black box label, whatever that is, right? They were saying it could lead to, dementia. And I remember, but the breast cancer thing is what most people, I think, hear about. But now we're learning that actually having HRT can, I don't know if they're saying decrease dementia or Alzheimer's, but it makes it so that your cognition is better through the menopause and beyond experience, right?
Yes. So this is the lawyer in me trying not to give legal advice. The real answer is there's currently research being done on the brain. Lisa Mosconi is an amazing neuroscientist who's researching hormones and neurocognitive functioning, and I would definitely follow her research. We have certainly seen anecdotally that the brain fog, that memory, concentration, those kinds of symptoms during the menopause transition are often improved when women are on hormone therapy. So everyone's different. Speak to your doctor about your own risks, benefits, and goals. But it is possible that women might feel better cognitively on hormone therapy.
We can ask one other question about the speak to your doctor part. What if because I had this experience a couple years ago where I was talking to my doctor. I mean, granted, the only symptom I was sharing with them was, and it was a male doctor. And I've had some great male doctors when it comes to hormones, by the way, but not this one. And so mine was just the lower libido. And he was just like, that's just normal for your age. And he said he couldn't prescribe, testosterone or anything for me, or couldn't, make it so my insurance would cover it. And so he was fired and I found someone else and you now pay out of pocket for this. But so what if you have that experience with your doctor there, even now that it's in politics, like people are hearing about it more, like what can people do?
So your experience is quite common. I hear it all the time, and I'm in the New York City area, access to great doctors and really very privileged. And yet women are still hearing that. And that does go back to this entire generation of medical providers weren't trained in hormone therapy. It's time for change. They need to learn. I would say for the women listening, there are a few ways to find access to providers who know their stuff. So go to the Menopause Society, menopause.org. They have a directory. ISSWSH, ISSWSH is another society for sexual health providers. I'll give the links. There are also telehealth platforms called MIDI, Alloy, Electra. Those are some of them. And all of this is in the book because they're doing really great work. And, some people don't want to do telehealth, but if your provider can do your in-person annual and then you go to a specialist online for hormone therapy, that's a great option. We're all learning and gaining access together, and access is available. You just might have to take some extra steps.
I can't wait, and I hope this day will come where these types of HRT and also these types of specialists are included in insurance plans, because it is really hard for people. Everything is so expensive right now in terms of it's hard to get decent healthcare that is affordable and is good for a lot of people, especially in California where we live. It's just like you could go broke trying to pay for your health, and it's so hard for me sometimes to talk to friends that need this care and aren't able to get it because they can't afford it. And I really hope that you being out there talking about this, the media exposing more about perimenopause and menopause will help on some level get more funding or get more.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Everything.
Doctors, get more access to this, to this information, to this care. So I'm wondering if that's a whole different topic, and we are at least providing resources right now that you have that people can start diving into their hormones. And I'm also wanting to know, besides everything else we talked about, if there's sex toys, because sex toys. People that listen to our show love sex toys, and also lube. We talk about lube. Yes. So we want to know about your recommendations, what you think is out there that's available to people, sex toys and lube wise.
So absolutely. The first line, according to the Menopause Society, of treating that vaginal pain or dryness is moisturizers or lube, and then vaginal estrogen. But definitely, again, if something's bothering you, it feels not like yourself, it hurts, get help, try lube, try moisturizers, and then try the prescription creams and other forms of medication. As far as toys, absolutely, especially if you're having trouble with penetration, any kind of pain. And I was recently speaking at an event, and a woman stood up and said she hadn't been able to insert a finger or a tampon for 14 years because she was in so much pain. I know, heartbreaking. Mm-hmm. Please don't be that woman. If any kind of pain, get help. Toys and, tools that dilate can be tremendously helpful. And we're seeing a lot of different options now on the market, which is really cool and exciting. And of course, pelvic floor therapy is major. And I think as a culture, haven't embraced it in the way that we should. But I come from the perinatal space, and increasingly that is becoming more popular to work with a pelvic floor therapist. And that should be part of our care team through midlife and this phase too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And so with that, so dilators, right? Like there's dilator sets, meaning like there's different sizes, small, medium, large. And so you can work your way up to the larger dilator. Some people are using it for pleasure, but a lot of people are using it with a really good lube. We love Uber Lube over here. But they're using also just as a daily, like a practice, right?
Yeah. Like an exercise. Yeah, you're stretching a muscle.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And then I also think if getting into your arousal space is hard, or you want to get more of those juices flowing for sex, right? Using your preferred sex toy, April and I have our ride or dies over here. I'm womanizer suction toys and April's magic wand, but using that, before or during sex can make things more enjoyable, create more of that natural lube. And so shout out for that one. Everyone who listens regularly, that you can go to purepleasureshop.com, use coupon code Shameless Sex, you get 15% off. And then I have two other shout outs. The Swan Medical, that's who April and I work with for our hormone stuff. And they're located in Los Gatos and Danville of California, but they do work with people online as well. And I think I don't know if they do free consultations, but I know if you work with them, you get a discount if you mention Shameless Sex. So that's, Swan Medical, in Los Gatos, California. And then one other piece I'm going to throw out here is OMG Yes. Have you heard of them before?
I think so.
Okay. We love them. And no, they don't do like perimenopause, menopause work, but it is an online platform. There's 3 different seasons. So season 1 is all about external pleasure. Season 2 is internal. Season 3 is sex toys. And it's interviews with real people, like thousands upon thousands of people. I know it's like over 60,000 people. And this is all about vulva, my own pussy owners, but you can learn new techniques. So like if your body's changing, but you want to figure out what works for you in a way, but you're like, I don't know what works, go check out OMG Yes. It's not a subscription thing either. It's awesome. It's changed our lives. We love them. And I think you get a discount if you do omgs.com/shameless. I think you get a special discount too, because we love them so much.
Awesome.
That's my mini shout outs. Okay. And here's my question aside from shout outs.
Sure.
Let's get to the partner piece again. I know we kind of talked about it a little bit. And again, everyone, you can get all this in your book, because you said you have a whole chapter on the partner piece. But if you want to give us just like a couple quick snippets for partners, like how partners can work together on this, if there's any little tips for that.
Well, one of the subtitles in the chapter for men is "Don't be a dickhead." So let's start there.
I love it.
Thank you. And that's, I know we're talking about science and politics and kind of difficult things, but the tone of the book is fun. It's very pop culture infused. It's full of, silly, funny things that I think all women born in the 80s, technically 1981 to 1996, but plus or minus, however many years, women can relate to. And I really believe the book is for not only millennial women, but anyone who cares about them. So that includes men. And when I say don't be a dickhead, yes, I'm being cheeky, but I'm being real, because most and the least we need is compassion. Our partners don't need to be hormone experts. They don't need to, know everything, but they do need to say, how are you doing? How can I help? And that can start with, hey, listen to this awesome podcast episode, Shameless Sex, about perimenopause. And I thought maybe that was something that we could figure out together, because this is a natural phase and you're about that age and we're going through this. How can I support you?
I love that question because how many times do you hear that in your life? Not very often, a lot of times, right? Not enough. So everyone listen up. That's really good advice from Lauren here because you are the CounseLaur, which I love it. The CounseLaur, like she's a counselor extraordinaire, really. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy that you put all of this info in a book because people can tangibly open it up and read about what's happening to them when they are ready or read it cover to cover. And I know that you do work with people because you do social work, you advocate for women all the time. And you have a counseling practice, I believe. So I'm hoping that you can, of course, share how people can find you, how they can buy your book, work you're doing, any work that is coming up for you. And we want more of Lauren Tetenbaum. So give it to us, Lauren, please.
So the book is available wherever books are sold, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, local bookstores. If you go to millennialmenopause.com, you will see all the links, including to my practice. I am based in New York, but licensed in several states as a therapist, and I do a lot of events. I'm coming to California in March, and I'll just be all over. It's been really fun connecting with women and others who care about these issues. So come say hello.
And you have an audiobook too? Is it on Audible? Or
it's now available on Audible, yes.
Did you get to read it with your own voice?
I didn't, but
you have a great voice.
Oh, thank you. Maybe next one.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There will be a next one. Okay.
Stay tuned.
Well, I'm excited to check out your book because we love information here. Amy and I consume information all the time. And this episode was great. I think people will get so much out of it. And even if our listeners out there are not in the perimenopause or menopause stage of their lives, it's great information to have because you can be the teacher when it comes to other folks that are going through that. And we're all holding the ability to be students and teachers all the time. And I think that passing along information or a link to this episode is a great way to share the wealth of knowledge that Shameless Sex is and that Lauren Tetenbaum is also giving to the world. So Lauren, thank you. Thank you for normalizing perimenopause and menopause and for doing the work that you're doing and not being a lawyer, because then we wouldn't be talking to you right now, right? We would be talking not about law, I hope. But it is good that you have this because you can advocate for maybe policy changes, right?
Exactly. So and we cover that in the book. So yes, we can all advocate in different ways and we all should.
Well, I am so grateful for you. And everyone check out Lauren's on Instagram at the CounseLaur. Just spell out Lauren and then add counsel before that. They share now. And rate this episode. Give it 5 stars because you love us so much and it helps more people find folks that we have on our show, guests that are amazing like Lauren, and get access to the treatments that they need and the books that they need. I think everyone needs more shameless sex in their lives. So give us 5 stars. If you have less than that, then just, keep driving your car and don't worry about rating us. You can use even use emoji. You could use an emoji you could use like the sweat emoji if you're going through perimenopause.
That could also be squirt. But
you could use a squirt emoji.
We'll take squirt.
We'll take it. We'll take it all. So we'll see you every Tuesday, y'all. We have a new episode, a fresh episode coming to you every Tuesday. So look out for that because we'll see you next Tuesday. All right, y'all. Ciao for now.
To learn more, go to shamelesssex.com.
And for 15% off some of our favorite sex toys, use code SHAMELESSSEX at purepleasureshop.com.